Hey guys, today we're looking back at some of your favourite Am I the A-hole stories from last year. I don't know about you, but I love taking a nice warm shower at the end of the day to relax before going to bed. I can't imagine having a partner pick the bathroom lock to come barging in on me. That'd be crazy, right? Well, Opie's girlfriend disagrees. Am I the a-hole for screaming at my girlfriend after she picked the bathroom lock while I was in the shower? Posted by a throwaway. I'm a 24-year-old man, and my girlfriend, Anna, is also 24. We met in college and started dating 2 years ago, and moved in together 3 months ago. I always thought we were great together. She's smart and funny, and we've had the best talks and have similar views on science and politics. But after we moved in together, she's been getting very upset about the fact that I take long showers. Important context. I don't like to talk about it, but I'm naturally a very hairy guy. Think Luther from the Umbrella Academy. I quit sports when I was 13 because I couldn't deal with what the other guys were saying about how much body hair I already had by then. So I shaved my whole body, and yes, it takes a while. Anna and I have never talked about my shaving, but she must know that I shave from feeling the stubble. So anyway, Anna started asking why I spend so long in the shower. I should have just told her, but I was too embarrassed to say that it was because it takes so long to shave. So instead, I said that I just like thinking in the shower. Then yesterday, while I was in the shower, she used a screwdriver to pop the bathroom lock and caught me shaving. She put her hands on her hips and told me that I was wasting water. I yelled at her to get out. She didn't leave and lectured me more on wasting water until I shouted again, a lot louder, for her to get the F out. It freaked her out and she slammed the door behind her. I was mad and took a few minutes to cool down and think about what I was going to say to her. But when I got out, she'd locked herself in the bedroom. I could tell she had her back against the door and was crying. She said that I scared her and that I showed her that I wasn't the kind of man she thought I was. I told her that she scared me and that it didn't even make sense why she did it because we don't even pay for the water for our apartment. She got more upset and said that I didn't even understand the problem because I showed her that I could be violent and abusive and I just needed to leave. I tried to keep calm and asked her to come out so we could actually talk about what happened, but she just kept saying that I wasn't who she thought I was and that I had to leave. We've argued about ideas but never had a fight before, and I swear I've never yelled or cursed at her like that. I hate fighting with anyone, and I'm normally the calmer person when our friends have things going on. I feel like my whole world just suddenly fell out from under me. I don't think this was my fault, but I also think none of this would have happened if I wasn't so self-conscious about my body hair. Or maybe if I'd just been honest from the beginning and told her why I take long showers. I'm sure this relationship is over now and things are going to be messed up for a while, but I just want to know, am I the a-hole for causing this whole mess? Down in the comments, Carcosta Dweller says, I don't understand. She sees you're shaving and thus have a legitimate reason to be in there, but she starts berating you for wasting water? This exactly. I bet she thought he was wanking or something, which is still a perfectly fine thing to do, by the way. So she broke down the door to try and catch him in the act, but then he was literally just shaving. And she can't really be mad about that, so she just made up some other random reason to be mad to try to excuse her insane behaviour. I lost it on my boyfriend after I heard him rate my performance in bed to his friends, and now he won't talk to me or his mum because she took my side. Am I the a-hole? Posted by Rating Game. I'm a 20-year-old girl, and I've been with my boyfriend, Kyle, who's 28, for almost 3 years, and I moved in with him a year ago. 2 days ago, I came home from work and heard Kyle in his gaming room laughing really loud. He usually plays games or does Discord watch parties with his online friends during the day, so I didn't think much of it. I went into the room to let him know I was home, but when I came to the door, I heard him say, Kaylee isn't bad in bed, but she isn't tight, and she doesn't do anything sexy. She's like a 5 out of 10, and then he started laughing again. This is the first part where I think I might be the a-hole. I got really mad and flustered, so I barged into the room and started going off on him. He tried to get me to leave the room because he was in a Discord call with his boys, but I just kept screaming at him. I told Kyle that he was horrible for talking about me and our intimate life like that, and I asked him how he'd feel if I said things like that about him to my friends. He said that he was just joking around, but I screamed that I didn't care, and he humiliated me. I guess he didn't mute himself or something because Kyle said that I was humiliating him right now, and I need to stop acting psychotic. He ended up shoving me out the room and locking the door so I couldn't come in, which he never does. He then texted me and told me that I need to leave because he doesn't want to see me until I apologize. I've been staying with his family since the fight, and I think I might be the a-hole here too. I'm really close with his mum, and she was livid when I told her about what happened. She called him up, demanding I get an apology, and berated him for putting his hands on me. He screamed at her for taking my side over his, and according to my boyfriend's sister, he blocked his mum. He also sent me a text saying, "real mature," for snitching to his mum. Now that I've had a few days to cool down, I'm starting to think that I was awful for embarrassing him in front of his friends, and for talking about the situation with his mum, but I don't know anymore. Our anniversary is supposed to be in 2 weeks, and I was going to propose on our trip, but I don't even know if it's going to happen anymore. I feel like a POS. If I'm wrong here, please tell me. I love him, and I don't want this to be the end of our relationship. So if I am the a-hole, I want to fix things between us. So you feel like a POS and an a-hole because, checks notes, when he mocked your performance in bed to his friends and put his hands on you, you got upset? Okay. And if he was looking for someone real mature, he shouldn't have gone after a 17-year-old. Obviously, he's the a-hole for mocking your body and intimate relationship with his friends. He's the a-hole for putting his hands on you. And he's an absolute creep for going after a 17-year-old when he was 25. I don't get why people insult their partners to their friends. Like, how does that make you look good? Haha, I'm dating such a loser. Okay, then why are you dating them? Is it because you don't think you can get someone that you think is better? What does that say about you? And just so you know, OP, you're the one that can do better. Would I be the a-hole if I report a therapist for getting me in a room with my stalker? Post by Triple T 93. I'm a 29-year-old man, and I've had a stalker for the past 10 years. We'll call her Emily. Emily is 30 years old. I had to get an extensive camera system on my house, make a habit of scanning my car for air tags every morning and evening, and keep a voice recorder disguised as a bullet point pen in my pocket. I was able to get a restraining order last year, and I keep a copy of the paperwork in my pocket at all times in case a public event happens. In the past, Emily has tricked my friends into setting us up on a blind double date. She's nearly had me thrown out of my own house by the police by posing as my girlfriend. She also managed to have me ostracized from my previous workplace by acting like my girlfriend. Emily is deeply disturbed, but also frighteningly convincing to people. She is insane, but the law seems content to just lock her up for brief periods, then let her out repeatedly. I live a life where I'm perpetually on edge, waiting for her next stunt. She's completely killed my interest in romantic relationships. Last week, I got a phone call while driving home that my friend Chris was in a really bad way. The caller, whose voice I didn't recognize, introduced herself as Dr. Taylor. She gave me an address and I headed over as quickly as I could. I do have a friend named Chris who has struggled with alcohol in the past, so I was very worried. I got to the doctor's office, went inside, and yep, Emily. Dr. Taylor said she was here to talk about the issues I was having with my girlfriend, Christina. I turned around to walk out, but Dr. Taylor shut the door on me. She said I could not avoid the conversation any longer. I tore the paper out of my pocket and held it in her face. In a shaking voice, I said, "That woman is not my girlfriend. She's my stalker." Dr. Taylor immediately apologized, opened the door, and let me out. When I got into the lobby, I called the cops. I could hear yelling from the doctor's office between Dr. Taylor and Emily. The cops arrived in about 20 minutes and dragged Emily out in handcuffs for once again breaking the restraining order. Dr. Taylor came out and was immediately apologetic. She said she was tricked, that Emily was incredibly convincing, everything I'd heard before. Dr. Taylor has just started her own private practice as a psychiatrist and begged me not to report her to the board. I've talked with my lawyer and I'm well within my rights to report her, so this isn't a legal question. I admit, Emily is extremely convincing, so I can't fault most people for getting tricked by her. But Dr. Taylor is supposed to be a psychiatrist. Shouldn't she be a bit better at smelling crazy? Dr. Taylor did seem genuinely shocked, and she immediately took the right steps in protecting me from Emily the second she knew the truth. I don't know, I'm very conflicted about this. What should I do? I get she's sorry, but what if he didn't have the restraining order on you? Like, she literally closed the door. Would she have held you there against your will? Is this something she does with her other clients? What was her plan here? Am I the a-hole for telling my in-laws if they want a grandchild, they should give my wife her inheritance now? Posted by Cool Temperature 316. Basically, my in-laws want their only child, my wife Diana, to start pumping out grandchildren. Diana is 28 and just finishing her PhD. Then she wants to get established in a career before we start a family. My in-laws know how much money I make, and they know that we could live comfortably off my earnings. But that isn't what Diana wants. She has worked her butt off to get where she is, and she wants to reap the rewards of her hard work. She also says that once she's working, then I can cut back on my hours and relax a little. I'm a welder and I've been working since I was 15, so literally half my life. I make a very good living in return for a lot of fairly hard work. I've supported Diana and her education. We have a house, she has a good car, and will graduate without student loans. We have a good life. We want a few more years alone before we start our family. Over Christmas, the in-laws just wouldn't drop it, and I finally snapped. I said if they wanted grandchildren, then they could reimburse us for her education. They could further pay her the salary that she'd be giving up, and when she finally returns to work, they could pay her the difference between what she could be earning and what her entry-level position pays. Or they could pay for a nanny so that my wife could work. Or they could just back off and wait for us to be ready. They said they couldn't afford all that, so I asked them how they expected us to afford it. I said if it really was what they wanted, they could just give her the inheritance that would be coming her way now instead of later. They got all offended and said it's not hers until they don't need it anymore. Diana asked me to drop it. She's tried dozens of times to explain to her parents why we're waiting. They just ignore her. They've always ignored what we want with our lives. They've been very cold since Christmas. They seem to think that I was a rude a-hole for pointing out the costs of what they were asking for. A lot of her family agree with them that I went too far in asking them to pay if they want a grandchild now instead of later. You weren't really asking to be paid though. You were just highlighting the cost and the impact it would have, and the fact that they wouldn't want to pay it either. They didn't like that. Am I the a-hole for digging in my heels about sex in a prenup? Posted by a throwaway account. I honestly can't believe I'm asking this, but my boyfriend has gotten so mad that I'm feeling a little crazy now. We're both 34. He had a terrible marriage before me that ended in a dead bedroom, and he's determined to never go back to that life again. Understood. I think that sucked for him to experience. So now, he wants a prenup and wants to literally write into the prenup that we'll have sex X amount of times per week, or else I get absolutely nothing in the divorce. I had already agreed to a 50-50 prenup of the marital assets and we keep what we came into the marriage with. Now, that's not enough for him. He wants me to prove that I won't stop having sex with him in the future. I told him that I can't prove what will happen in the future, and that putting something in writing doesn't prove that. Now he's saying that I must have a guilty conscience if I won't sign these terms, because if I'm so certain it won't happen, then what's the problem? But to me, it makes me feel like a sex slave and not a loved wife or partner. I can't believe there's another one of these. I literally did a story like this a week ago. Except the contract was for his deceased wife's mother and sister. Also, it was used as revenge, and the guy knew what he was doing was demeaning. Surely this guy must understand how effed up this is. Again, how would she prove these duties were performed? Like, will he have to sign off on her timesheet? Or are they gonna film each encounter? When she says she gets nothing, does that mean she loses all of the assets she brought into the marriage too? Or does that mean that any assets they accumulated together as a couple, she gets a 0% split of? Does she get to dictate certain duties for him? And what happens if either of them get injured or sick and can't have sex for a week? Like, sorry honey, I know you have tonsillitis at the moment, but if you don't give me a BJ right now, you'll be tossed onto the streets. It's in the contract. Also, what if you have his baby and can't have sex right afterwards? The comments on this post are golden, so I'm going to include a few more than I normally would. Malavo Minor says, he's devolved the relationship into that of a prostitute, but with none of the benefits. Rosaline says, this also means that OP spending a week away for him for any reason would violate the prenup. Hell, the way he's wording it, he could just refuse sex for a week and then walk away with everything. Scarlet's Revenge says, that's a really good point. He's defining sex as a thing my wife gives me instead of a thing we do together. The power is 100% in his hands here. All he has to do is refuse to accept his wife's gift of sex, and he gets everything. B. Fodder adds, him defining sex as a thing my wife gives me instead of a thing we do together, it's no effing wonder he ended up with a dead bedroom. C. Averett Mam suggests adding in a clause where he has to guarantee he gives you X number of orgasms a week. Yep, and he has to prove it somehow. She has to sign off on his timesheet. Guilty Coconut says, and she always has to come first. The provision is void until he manages to make her come. Puddle Lilac again says, even better, dump his worthless controlling butt. Yeah, honestly, that's the only realistic outcome from this demand. Then we get a bit more context from OP. Seps Green says, does he even have a lawyer? I would think any legal professional would tell him that such a stipulation is unprovable and in fact undermines the entire prenup. OP responded and said, no, he doesn't have a lawyer, but he did say when it comes to signing it, he wants a psychiatrist present to witness that I'm not being coerced and that I can't claim it later. Oh my god, I'd love to see the psychiatrist's face when he tells them about this. OP, like, this literally came out of nowhere last night. I was just at work and asked him if everything was okay because he's been feeling very distant lately. He's got a rough semester right now, getting his second master's. And then I just got avalanched with all this. Vox1028 says, you cannot consent to sex weeks, months, years in advance. Not that you can't try to, I mean that it is literally impossible for you or anyone to do so. What he's trying to do is put you in a situation where he'll coerce you into sex for the rest of your life, whether you want it or not. You had a huge fight? Too bad, you still need to drop your pants for the weekly sex number 3. He cheated on you or did some other horrible thing that would naturally affect your sex life? Oh well, better continue getting on your knees or you can expect to be penniless on the streets after your divorce. You've had an emergency surgery and have been advised to not have sex for months? Tough luck! Brave the pain because his dick is obviously the most important thing in this marriage. I can't fathom how I could even think that this is an acceptable thing to ask you. Not only is it absolutely disgusting and offensive to you, but any lawyer would tell him it's batshit ridiculous. You need to consider if you really want to be legally tied to someone who wants you to have no physical autonomy. Yeah! Also, I want to point out that the prenup she originally agreed to sign was perfectly fair and reasonable. They keep what they bring into the marriage and split equally what they build together. If the marriage ended in a dead bedroom, which, based on his views on sex, wouldn't be a surprise, then he could just divorce her, nothing lost. But what he's essentially asking for is a loaded gun to point at her, to force her into sex when, and how he wants it for the rest of their lives. He's not a keeper, OP. Am I the a-hole for keeping my wedding venue a secret from my sister? Posted by a throwaway account. My biological father, who I'm estranged from and have absolutely no contact with, is really obsessed with me, stalker level. In the past, my sister, not out of malice but due to her carelessness, has given him information about my whereabouts and activities, despite my explicit instructions not to. Once again, I don't think she was being malicious. She genuinely is just a very bubbly and excitable person. She gets excited about my achievements and then blurts out whatever I'm doing, completely thoughtlessly. She does this with a lot of stuff and with a lot of people. This has led to several not so great moments and confrontations. Now, I'm about to get married. Given the past incidents, I've decided to not share any details of the wedding venue with my sister. She knows the day and has been instructed to be ready by a certain time, at which point my mum and stepdad will pick up her and her boyfriend and bring them to the ceremony. This is purely to prevent any information from reaching my biological father. My sister is quite upset by this. She feels like I'm treating her like a child, and she's arguing that she should have the autonomy to drive herself and leave whenever she wants. She insists that she's learned from her past mistakes. However, I'm really concerned that she might slip up and mention the venue to our father, who 100% would show up uninvited and cause a scene, to put it mildly. He has a history of being disruptive, and I worry he might try to confront/fight my fiancé or insist on walking me down the aisle, both of which would be very distressing for everyone involved. To me, it's bad enough that I can't keep the wedding a secret because now I have to assume he knows and is looking for me. I understand my sister's frustration, but I feel like I'm in a no-win situation. On one hand, I want to keep my wedding day peaceful and focus on celebrating with my fiancé and loved ones. On the other hand, I hate that I have to resort to such measures and cause tension with my sister. Also, security is being hired, but I'm not super confident in them being able to stop my 6'7" dad when he's on a warpath. I've seen him quite literally grab a full-grown man and hurl them like a hay bale when he was playing, to say nothing if he thinks he has a goal. He also walked off a broken neck somehow, along with multiple other serious injuries after a car accident. I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen it. So, am I the a-hole for not trusting my sister with the details of my wedding venue until the day of the wedding? Absolutely not! I was willing to give the sister the benefit of the doubt at first that she really is just genuinely very bubbly and excitable and blurt stuff out. Honestly, I can be the same sometimes. However, if someone has expressed a boundary, particularly if they're in danger, I make a point to be careful to respect that. If I'd messed up so many times, I'd be mortified and sorry for one. But I also wouldn't blame them for taking precautions because either she genuinely can't help it and needs them, or she is capable of keeping her mouth shut and has chosen not to. I'd ask her which it is. If she's capable of controlling herself, then why hasn't she after the first incident? Am I the a-hole for not letting my husband sleep in on the weekend? Posted by Puzzle-Headed Rip 6227. I, 27 female, and my husband, 24 male, have an agreement that every Saturday he sleeps in and I fully take care of the baby during the morning. And on Sundays, he takes the baby and I sleep in. So this Saturday, the baby woke up around 7 AM. I wake up at the same time, change her, and go make the bottle. Shortly after, I'm feeding her and my husband walks in, saying he can't sleep anymore. I understand, it's happened to me before and it's completely natural. At night, my husband turns to me and said that since he woke up early that day, he would be sleeping in the next morning, Sunday. I said no, that's not our agreement and it's not my fault he didn't sleep in. He said that's not fair because he works and I don't. To give a little more context, I'm a stay-at-home mum and he works full-time during the week. The thing is, I do most of the household chores, which I don't mind by the way, and his only responsibility is taking out the trash and unloading the dishwasher. I do everything else, plus take care of the baby. He usually just helps me with baths and watches/plays with her while I make dinner. We're fine with how things are. We're a happy couple and family, but I don't think it's okay for him to throw around that he works and I don't, when it was a joint decision that I'd stay home with the baby until she turns 1. He ended up waking up early and letting me sleep in today, But when I woke up, he let me know that he was really tired and that I wasn't nice to him, and I should have let him sleep in instead. Am I the a-hole for not letting my husband sleep in? Extra info. We usually wake up at the same time during the week, since I pack his bag for work. So I don't sleep in any more than he does during the week. And when the baby naps, I do chores that I can't do while she's awake. You even pack his bag for work? This man wanted a mummy so bad, he made a kid. And yikes, he told you he'd be sleeping in? This wasn't a discussion. He didn't say, do you mind if I sleep in tomorrow? Oh, there's an update. My husband has apologised for the way he spoke, and that he could have phrased it better. All is good, and thank you all for the comments. And a lot of you are shocked that I pack his lunch bag for work. I get it. I've been doing it since we got married, because I packed both our lunches at the same time. I do it out of habit, and honestly, as a nice gesture for him. He says he appreciates it, and I know he does. Am I the a-hole for not continuing my reception after my husband went behind my back? Posted by Overall Candy 4513. My now husband Lucas, 26, and I, 25, were getting married. We decided to tie the knot as we're having a little girl together and are madly in love. So, leading up to the wedding day, Lucas told me that his best man Jacob wanted to propose to his girlfriend, and it'd be a great time, and it's a nice venue to do it at. I said that I didn't want him to propose at our wedding as it's our special moment, not theirs, and they can do it sometime else. Lucas told me that his friend was mad that I didn't agree. I just wanted the wedding to be about us, as it was our special day. After that disagreement, I thought nothing of it. Fast forward to my wedding day. We'd finished the church service and were at the reception, having fun. I'm eating my food, and then Jacob stops the music at the DJ booth to make an announcement. I just knew from that moment he was going to propose. I looked to see where Lucas was, and he was holding red and white roses, walking out to stand in front of Chloe, Jacob's girlfriend, spelling out, "Will you marry me?" I was so shocked that they went behind my back when I said no. I got up out of my seat and walked out. It's been 2 days since the wedding, and my husband cursed me out for not letting them have their special moment. I responded with, I wanted the day to be about us because it's our wedding, not theirs. I am happy for them, but the worst thing was that even though I said no, you went behind my back. Since that argument, he's moved to the guest bedroom, and now most of my friends are cursing me out on all of my socials. Am I the a-hole? I like this comment from Shadow Maya. So, your husband put his friend before you. You should go to Jacob's wedding, steal the mic, and announce your divorce. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother he got exactly what he deserved when he pushed his girlfriend away for being a gold digger? Posted by a throwaway account. My brother is a very hardworking man, and at 27, he is now very wealthy and doing well for himself. He's been with this girl for 6 months, and throughout the time, we've gotten pretty close because we both like hair, makeup, and shopping. I never knew there was anything wrong with their relationship until she texted me last week saying she'd love to hang out but thinks it'll be inappropriate because her and my brother broke up. I asked her why, and she said she was sick and tired of auditioning to prove that she was with him for the right reasons. She went on to say that my brother is paranoid that she's after his money, so he would test her, like 1. Leaving his bank statements on their bed and getting upset when she picked it up. 2. Going out to eat at high-end restaurants that he requested, and then leaving his wallet at home on purpose to make her pay the bill and prove that she's not going out with him for his money. And 3. Never buying her gifts and questioning her when she asked him why he doesn't. I was shocked, so I had to hear my brother's perspective. We spoke, and he told me that everything she said was true, and that there's nothing wrong with making sure his girlfriend is with him for the right reasons. He said he left his bank statements on the bed and was peeking through the door to see if she'd be curious, and when he saw her pick up the papers, he knew in his gut that she was using him for his money. So he set up the restaurant idea to see if she'd get upset at paying a $500 bill, which she was. I asked him if he thinks her being an elementary school teacher could have contributed to her being upset at a $500 bill at a restaurant that he wanted to go to, and he said no. He said the straw that broke was when she asked him why he hadn't bought her a single gift since they started dating, when she'd bought him a gaming console and new rims for his car, and he knew she was just discreetly asking him to buy her an expensive gift. He confronted her and said he thinks she's with him for his money. So she said let me do us both a favour, and dumped him and blocked him. He's upset about the gold-digging bee, and when I laughed, he called me an a-hole. He said I would never understand what it's like being a rich man and being used. I get that concern, but I told him if he thinks any woman would be okay with his tests and auditions, he's delusional as hell. If he doesn't want to be used for his money, he should start dating people as wealthy as him, and leave the lower income people alone if he's not going to be genuine in his relationships unless they pass his test. But he likes the power. Down in the comments, Kahu Rang in New Zealand says, despite how rich he is, the ex is the one who bought him a gaming console and rims for his car? If he's as rich as he thinks he is, why hadn't he gotten those things for himself? She wouldn't have gotten them unless he subtly, or not so subtly, suggested them in the first place. They were only together for 6 months, and just those items alone would have been a significant hit on her salary. And then he makes her pay for an expensive dinner. I think I know how bro made his money. If he wants to find the gold digger, perhaps he should look in the mirror. This is exactly what I was thinking. He's using her for her money. The irony is, he's actually weeding out anyone who'd be interested in a real relationship, one that goes both ways. In the next video, it's OP's dad that's the gold digger. He's been completely absent from OP's life until he discovers that OP's wife is rich. And suddenly, he's the ultimate family man. And family helps family, right? Click here to see that. And thanks for watching.